There it is. Got it. All right, here you go. You ready? All right,
Sure.
so Corey's going to take the helm here, and he's going to talk to us about the delays on some stuff here. So here you go. It's all you.
Hey. So yeah, this next one is a bit of space news for you. It's a bit of an update on the human landing system. And if you guys have been keeping track with us or elsewhere on the internet, you know that there was a bid for multiple from Dynetics, SpaceX, and Blue Origin on for the a component of the Artemis program, and it's the human landing system
Mm-hmm.
component, the actual vehicle that will rendezvous with the capsule in lunar orbit and then take the astronauts down to the lunar surface. SpaceX won that competition, and there's been a bunch of lawsuits since then. And so, just kind of zooming forward and what the latest news on this, let's call it a saga, is. The headline goes: NASA delays the human lunar landing to at least 2025.
Boom.
And so here it says, basically in a teleconference from on the 9th, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said that they concluded the legal challenge mounted by Blue Origin to the agency's selection of SpaceX for the obviously the HLS. So that's not the only reason, but is a major reason for pushing back the goal of when this thing's basically going to launch out. So yeah, that's basically the long and
Mm-hmm.
short of it. There's some other stuff in here talks about a bunch about budget, of course, but there you go. I mean, we know that SpaceX was prohibited from working on the program for a while litigation was going on. There was a ruling on that just a week
Mm-hmm.
ago, was it? Yeah, just last week. And work was set to begin, I think Monday, actually, this
Mm-hmm.
Monday just passed. And now NASA's just had given an update. Hey, by the way, it's not going to be any earlier than
Right.
2025 because other things, but this lawsuit's a
Well,
big
it
piece.
says litigation
So,
played a significant role in the delay on
mhm,
2025, which
yep,
is interesting. I
yep.
mean,
So it's 7 months just to give that. It was about seven
yeah, I
months of
guess it
litigation.
was. I mean,
So,
look, SLS had its own problems, right? Let's just face it. SLS was
well, yeah,
delayed.
SLS,
That was part of
yeah,
it because we watched the first couple
yeah,
SLS launch it like their test beds, and we were like, well, look, they ran them, and then they ran them a little long, and then they didn't really they didn't spit out their data almost immediately. It waited a little bit, and then the next thing you knew, it was on a barge coming to coming here, right?
yeah, and it's assembled down
Yeah,
here in Florida. By the way, it's assembled over in on the Cape. So
yeah.
you know,
And then
yeah,
Jeff got, he got upset, obviously, and other companies were selected to make the other landing portion. But here's the problem. The article goes in about this one thing, this 2024 date was a relic of the Trump administration. And I'm like that, but that's not even what the article says. It says litigation played a significant role in the delay. And it really doesn't make a difference
yep.
who decided and what we're going to do going back to the moon. The problem is it's a goal. It's part of all these companies that have to successfully achieve this goal. And I, I kind of think it's might not be a bad thing because I also think maybe Artemis needs more time. Like it needed more time.
You mean the SLS
The
or the
whole
whole? Well, I mean, what component of Artemis?
the
I guess.
SLS I think needed more time than they thought, which was
Right.
originally kind of got them out of their timeline to begin with, right? But I think even
Mhm.
now, I think to this particular moment, I think SLS needs more time. Myself, personally. So,
I mean, yeah. As far as we know, we saw that the main engines were fired over in Louisiana.
mhm.
Was it right, Stennis? And as you mentioned before, yeah, there was a few times they tried it the first time, had to shut it down. Anyway, got it sorted. It's over here. So as far as we know, it should work. We know that the timeline is uncrewed launch that will send the capsule, over around the moon and
Mhm.
back. So I know we've talked about that on the channel before, but yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of states tied up in that, and so that was part of
Mm.
the reason they didn't want to let it go, if that makes
Right.
sense. I mean, there, you don't have to go too far in the internet for people to say SLS was really good when it was kind of in its infancy. The idea was looking good, but then there's a multiple commercial opportunities now to do it otherwise. I mean, don't get me wrong. Me and you, we'd be the first people that want to be out on the coast
Oh
watching
yeah, for
SLS take
sure.
off. Yes, of course. Yes. And any competition is good as well. I'm happy with that too. But
A
I don't
couple of
know.
other
I don't know.
notables inside this article that are very interesting. Along with the adjustments in timeline, NASA also said that it would be updating the costs of Artemis program, notably the Orion crew capsule. The original baseline development cost for
Mm,
the spacecraft was supposed to be 6.7 billion, but now NASA is adjusting that to 9.3 billion. And its first crewed launch of
mhm.
May of 2024. NASA, which not obviously happening at that time, probably
Right.
2025. But NASA also said that the development cost of SLS will be 11 billion through its first launch on Artemis 1, up from an estimated 9.1 billion cited last year. So maybe when Jeff was throwing out that $2 billion cash offer saying we'll just wipe that off the top of the list, hey, that would have moved that
Mhm.
that bill down to the 9 million range, we think, okay? But then they also go in to discuss that a lack of funding from Congress had also contributed to the delays. Last year, NASA had asked for $3.2 billion to jumpstart production of the lunar lander in 2021, but they only received a quarter of
Yep.
that. And that additional
Right.
funding, they also argued that there's also, feasibility things that are going to be a part of that entire thing ongoing. But man,
I mean, and SLS, for what it's worth, it's not
right.
reusable either. I mean, it seems, you know, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have seemed that anything crazy for me to say, "Oh, it's not reusable." Well, yeah, so what? But I mean, so much has happened
Mm,
in space in 10 years, and we've got well, actually, now that we're talking about this, just today, just midday, I saw a test fire of
right,
Starship
yeah.
over in
Hmm.
Texas. Uh, um, a hot fire of I think it was all the engines, all 6 on board, and that's still going forward. And we know the big boosters that carry Starship up are it's all reusable. The whole thing's reusable.
It kind of pisses you
So
off.
I mean,
You know
it's
what? Here's the crappy part about this whole thing. Musk could fund this by himself. He could literally send people to the moon on his own dime. Okay? So, and it could be reusable, and he doesn't need NASA to do it, except he probably needs the rights, I guess, maybe to make it into space. I guess if by FAA
yeah,
principles.
probably the launch
Right.
permits and stuff. But then once he's in space, I mean,
I
it's space. I mean, just
go
go
to
to
the
the
moon. He
moon.
could
Nobody owns the moon,
can't stop him.
technically.
So
There are rules about its use and stuff, but
no,
we're not
no, no.
going. We're not
Nah.
saying. We're not talking about that.
So anyhow, it just this is the
Yeah,
this is the frustration issue, like the frustration episode of Not Your Average Show. It's
it's a
a
Friday,
Friday.
guys. It's Friday. Let us know what you
Yeah.
think. Uh, like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Thanks so much for the support. Put your comments down below what you think about the lawsuit from Blue Origin against the human landing system selection
Mm.
process. And then, of course, really what you think about getting to the moon in general. We're big space buffs here, so we appreciate all that. But yeah, let us know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let us know. Okay.